Today on Pro Church Daily, we're talking about how to be fishers of men in a digital culture.
Well, hey there, and welcome to Pro Church Daily, the show where in 10 minutes or less, you'll get a daily dose of tips and tactics to help your church share the message of Jesus while we try and navigate the biggest communication shift we've seen in the last 500 years. I'm your host, Alex Mills. I'm joined as always by the boss man, it's Brady Shearer. And today we're talking about how to be fishers of men in a digital culture.
Every day, Alex, I take my dog for a walk along the Niagara Parkway. And the parkway directly in Niagara goes along with the Niagara River,
Yep.
At least where I walk. And where I always park my car to get out and begin my walk with my chocolate lab, Ross, the parking lot is always very busy,
Yep.
even at early in the morning on a weekday. And it's bizarre because it's one of the very few parking lots that's actually usually busy.
Right.
The reason is, and I'm going to pass this over to you because you are a fisherman.
Yeah.
This is a place where fishermen love to park so that they can walk down to the Niagara River. Now, why is that?
Well, the Niagara River is a massive body of water, and it flows downstream from one Great Lake to another. And the water, the rapids, there are class 5 rapids in that river, which are the highest class of whitewater. The power of the water, the magnitude of it is ridiculous. And so that parking lot is strategically placed, and there's a path that walks down to this place called the Whirlpool. And what it is, it's kind of like this resting spot where the current is not as strong as it normally is. There's a bend in the river, and it creates this gigantic whirlpool. Now, the fish, which are salmon, rainbow trout, brown trout, huge game fish. It's one of the best rainbow trout fisheries in North America. During spawning season, they'll swim upstream from Lake Ontario towards Lake Erie. And what they'll do is when they hit that whirlpool, because they've been swimming up this white water for so long, when they hit the whirlpool, they get a rest, and they all congregate there because the water's a little more still, and they get a break before they continue swimming upriver. And so there are opportune times during the year, usually in the fall, throughout the winter, and early spring, when that's where the fish are. And it's an interesting note that you made that you often see fishermen there in the morning, and that's because in the early morning, so first light, and then the evening at last light, there's the opportune time to catch fish there. That's when the fish are active. It's when they're feeding, and it's also when they're all congregating near the shore. During the height of the day, during the height of the sun, the fish will actually move out into deeper water, and they won't be accessible from the shore anymore. You can't drive a boat up there because the water's too insane. You're a shore fisherman there. So at midday, you can't really catch too many fish there because they're in deeper water. But first light, last light, it's when they're coming shallower because the water's cooler, and they're feeding at that time, and that's why that's a fishing hotspot in the Niagara River.
Now, if you are unlike Alex and you're like Brady, a lot of what Alex said is brand new information to you. And makes sense why the parking lot is always very busy when I go to walk Ross. But the more I began thinking about this activity in the Niagara River, the more it got me thinking about the early disciples.
Right.
And in Matthew 4:19, Jesus is calling these disciples who were professional fishermen.
Right.
And he says, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." And I think it's a perfect metaphor for the way that we're navigating the digital landscape in 2018 and beyond. Because at the end of the day, everything works. And that's what makes understanding and navigating your way through digital so difficult.
Right.
If I'm a fisherman, I could probably stand at another point in the Niagara River in an inopportune time of day, in maybe water that's a little bit more rapidy. That's a word that you probably use all the time.
Of course.
I'm just taking these, see how quickly I'm picking up the fisherman lingo.
Yeah, you're doing very well.
This is really rapidy. I could stand there with my fishing rod.
Put a hot dog on your hook.
And you know what? Maybe I'll catch a fish.
Yeah.
There are fish in that water.
Right.
Just like if you as a church pay $5,000 for a billboard, it's possible, because billboards are seen by some people, sometimes someone could see that and then take the dramatic action of attending your church, becoming a disciple, and giving $1 million to your church. Right. And then you could look at that encounter and say, see, billboards work.
See, I got a fish in this spot at midday with hot dogs because last time I did it, I caught a fish.
This will happen again. And this is why it's important, much like the fishermen who go at first light and last light in the still water on the shore where all the fish are gathering. Similarly, we as communicators of the gospel in 2018 need to go to the places where attention is being paid the most, where people are already gathered. Sure, You could go where nobody is, demand them to download your app, and say, see, I caught a fish.
Yeah.
But that would not be the most efficient way of doing things.
Right.
It would not be the best way of doing things, and it wouldn't be the most replicable way of doing things. At the end of the day, what you're trying to accomplish with digital media is going where the attention already is, because attention is the most valuable commodity your church can possess, but it's hard to get.
Yeah.
So rather than demand people give you attention, go where the attention is already being paid, where you're allowed to stand on the shore for free and set up a Facebook group and gather people where they are already gathered and catch them with your fishing pole. Which seems like a little bit of a weird metaphor, but it's the one Jesus used.
Yeah, it totally works.
So I'm going to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, he was speaking directly into their context. Like you said, the people he was talking to when he said that were professional fishermen. And so this is the analogy that he used. It wasn't too on the nose for him. It's like super legitimate. Like, this is the philosophy. And this is who we're called to be. I'm a fisher of fish, which is fun, and it's a great hobby of mine. But all of us are called to be fishers of men. And especially in this digital culture, we actually can see, using analytics and all these tools we have on the internet, we can actually see and know where people are congregating, where the proverbial fish are, and we can go there with this timeless message of hope in Jesus and fulfill that command of Jesus to be fishers of men.
Fishermen know that in the Niagara River, the best time, the most optimal time, where they are most likely to catch fish. And I've been out fishing with you before, and we haven't caught anything. Mm-hmm. There's no guarantee that just because you're in the right place at the right time, you're going to catch a fish.
Right.
There's no guarantee that just because you use Facebook ads, most affordable, best way of sharing the message through paid promotion in 2018, doesn't mean there's a guarantee that it's going to work for your church, but it's the most likely to work.
Yeah.
Similarly, the fishermen that gather at first light and last light in this whirlpool area where the most fish are congregated, closest to the shore, at the time where they're most likely to gather to catch fish, they're going there because it is giving them the best odds at accomplishing their goal.
Yeah.
Sure, be the hero that goes down to the place where nobody else is and says, I caught a fish one time here through a mailer. And I mean, great. I'm glad that worked for you, but it's not the most efficient, effective way of doing things. Go where you're going to have the best chance of accomplishing your goal. And just as those that are trying to catch fish are using the best practices of where the fish are gathered the most already, do the same thing with digital platforms. Go where the attention is. Go where everybody is already gathered. Just like in all things, there's no guarantee that you're going to catch fish there, but you're going to give yourself and your church the best chance at accomplishing your goals by using the best practices.
Yeah, and it'll also be the best use of your resources. You know, I could go down on a Saturday, spend all day during midday trying to catch a fish, maybe catch one, maybe catch two, or I could go down early Saturday morning, catch the fish that I was looking for, and have the rest of my day to use. You know, for me, I often think about use of resources, often being time when I'm going fishing.
That's
you know,
great.
I could go down and try and catch a fish at midday because I can sleep in if I do that, or I can get up early, get down to the river at 5, and catch some fish.
There's a little bit of discomfort that comes with getting up so early in the morning, but you also know that that's the best use of resources.
Yeah.
It's probably much more familiar to do the mailer that you've always done as a church. It's probably not as comfortable to try to figure out Facebook ads, but we have limited resources as churches: time, money, creative bandwidth.
Yeah.
We've got to use those to the best of their ability to get the best ROI.
Love it.
That was a great point, though, from you.
Oh, thanks.
On the resources.
Thanks.
So this props.
Thanks.
You are not just
I'm not just a
fisher of
fisherman.
fish. You are a fisher of men.
There you go.
And women, as a minister of the gospel.
There it is.
Alex Thrills is the best, everybody. Follow him on Instagram. That'll do it for today's episode of Pro Church Daily. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching today's episode of Pro Church Daily. Make sure to subscribe to this channel so you never miss another video.
And if you like this video, come on, why don't you go ahead and like it?
We'll see you in another one.
That was literally called the Ask Brady Show, though.
That's true. Hey, thanks for watching today's episode of Pro Church Brady. Remember that Alex is...
I'm just along for the ride, folks.